How I became an advocate for wheelchair users, I think, is no secret. I had to retire a little bit younger than I wanted to, but, being at a full time job, working in a team, you really can't be out as much as I was for medical needs. And it was time for me to realize that the doctors needed me more than my job did. so so I really had a one-on-one, heart-to-heart talk with my supervisor, and we began to plan my phasing out, and looking at retirement. And that was very hard. And being at home, I thought there's got to be something else I can do. Like there's got to be something I can offer still to the community, and and to know that it'll be beneficial. So what could that be? And I was scouring around on the internet and looking at this and looking at that, and I YouTube did cross my mind, but it was like, nah, I don't want to be filming myself, blah blah blah. So I skipped over that idea so many times, and then it just kind of hit me. YouTube is the place where I should be, to talk to people, to offer information, to offer resources, to offer little tidbits as to what I do to be the best wheelchair user I can be, for myself and for others. Um, so I started just little by little. I sat in my recliner over there in a previous room. I think I was upstairs still. Yeah, I was still on second floor. So I sat in my recliner. I set up my phone. It was vertical. Wasn't horizontal, it was vertical. My first few videos, I had no idea what I was doing. And I remember I talked about safety and some essential things as a wheelchair user, blah, blah, blah. I had no idea what I was doing, truly. And, but I did press record, just did the best I could. And then I started thinking about other things that other wheelchair users might be concerned about. And I think it started growing on me on how many things I could say to wheelchair users for their lives to be a little bit better every day. And so that's how, I became, I began to become, I think I'm still becoming that advocate, with travel opinion and with the news and other bits and pieces that I do. I advocate, but I also invite others, for this action or that action that might be helpful for them to talk about their experiences as wheelchair users, and to learn in the meantime, to learn as they go through my channel about little things that they could do or something they hadn't thought about. So it began to just take a shape, as I went through videos, and I thought, no, not this one. Press delete. But, gradually, my family saw that I really liked doing this. So they got me a camera, they got me a microphone. So this is, partly, in big part, I got help from my family in doing something that I like to do and that is still helpful for people out there who use wheelchairs and who don't use wheelchairs. You know, people who don't use wheelchairs can come and also learn what appropriate etiquette is with a, you know, if you're friends with a wheelchair user, if you're a family member with a wheelchair user, if you're a neighbor of a wheelchair user. So I add them in the mix because that is also got an itchy nose. It's early in the morning. So it also, I include them so that they can gain insight as to how do I do this. You know, this person in the wheelchair is very interesting. I like to get to know them, but how do I behave around them that I'm not insulting them, that I'm giving them support as a new friend? So it was some of that and all of that, as I usually say. And I think at this point, you know, I've enjoyed it. I want to continue to address things that are important to each one of you because being in a wheelchair is not easy, as we know. And I want to be here also as a voice, as someone who I know you all are out there trying your best to be a good neighbor, a good sister, a good brother, a good spouse, a good father, a good mother, and use a wheelchair to be able to function each day. And I want you to know that these videos are as full as I can with ideas and tips and advocacy that I can so that your day perhaps wasn't very good, but maybe the next day will be a little bit better each day. And that's what I'm hoping for in these videos. So I just wanted to share that, how I became an advocate for wheelchair users and how I have been using YouTube to do that. And I want to know that I truly support each one of you. And, you know, I can relate to most of you in your struggles as wheelchair users and not knowing where to go, who to ask. And that was another reason why I got on YouTube, was because I didn't have a whole lot of places to go to ask the questions, how do I do X, Y, Z? You know, my therapist was busy and she couldn't be bringing me back in constantly. So, you know, I would look things up and learn as much as I could. And so I wanted to fill this YouTube channel as full as I could with resources and ideas and options that I could possibly think of. As somebody said, one of you said, and she brings up things that you would never think of. But that's what I can do now. I have time to do that, to think of things off the wall that you would never think of as a wheelchair user. So, but truly, I want this to be a good resource for all of you out there. And that's how I became an advocate